Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're diving into a story that really got me thinking. It's from this YouTube channel, African Tales, and well, the title is definitely clickbait. She brought in men into her husband's house. What happens next will leave you shocked. But trust me, beyond the dramatic title, this story explores these complexities of like financial dependence, gender roles, and how power dynamics shift in a relationship.
Yeah. What's fascinating is how the story kind of unfolds like a cautionary tale. It explores what happens when like traditional, relationship roles are disrupted. It forces us to look at those societal expectations and how we react when, well, when those expectations are challenged.
Right.
Yeah.
The story centers on John and Miriam, a couple with two kids. John's, dedicated to providing for his family, and Miriam is a teacher. On the surface, they seem happy. But then everything changes when John unexpectedly loses his job. And it's this sudden loss of income that becomes the catalyst for a series of events that really make you question things.
Yeah. It's almost as if the loss of John's job triggers this complete personality shifts in Miriam. Her behavior changes dramatically.
Right.
It's not just concern for their financial situation. It's almost like she sees this as an opportunity to assert dominance.
Exactly. And it's not just like subtle changes. The video emphasizes how Miriam starts ordering John around, demanding he do chores he never did before, even controlling what he eats. There's this one line where Miriam tells John, "I'm now the man of the house," which is pretty jarring to hear. What do you make of that statement?
I think it reveals a lot about how Miriam views power within the relationship. Her statement suggests that for her, financial control is directly linked to like masculinity and dominance. It's as though by taking control of the finances, she believes she's also assumed the traditional male role.
Yeah.
So,
And that shift in power becomes the foundation for everything that happens next. Because it's not just about the money.
yeah.
Miriam starts to demand unquestioning obedience from John, almost as if he's lost his right to an opinion.
You see this reflected in how Miriam handles the family finances. John's desperately trying to find a new job and nothing is coming through. And then comes the rent crisis. They're behind on payments, and the landlord is putting on the pressure. John, in a vulnerable position, asks Miriam for help, knowing she's been saving her salary.
And her response is incredibly cold. It's almost like she doesn't even recognize his struggle.
She refuses, claiming she can't afford it, even though John knows she has, a significant amount saved. It highlights this lack of empathy and a disregard for the partnership they once shared.
Yeah, it feels like this is like a turning point in the story because it's at this moment of desperation that Miriam decides to seek financial help from another man. And the way it's portrayed in the video adds this whole layer of drama.
Absolutely. John overhears Miriam on the phone, and we, as viewers, are privy to the conversation. We hear this man transferring 1 million naira to her account. Talk about adding fuel to the fire.
It felt intentionally dramatic. The video almost pauses to let that sink in.
Mm.
And then Miriam just brushes off John's concerns. It's like she's intentionally making him feel smaller or less significant.
This scene is crucial because it highlights Miriam's growing sense of autonomy and her willingness to seek support outside of their marriage, even if it means deceiving John. It sets the stage for a dangerous escalation in their relationship dynamic.
This financial dependence, coupled with Miriam's apparent disregard for John's feelings, it creates this breeding ground for resentment. And that brings us to what I found to be like the most intense part of the story, the
Right.
arrival of the other man at their house.
Right here, this is where the tension really starts to build. John overhears Miriam talking to this man in their bedroom. And to add insult to injury, she's lying to him, saying that John is her deceased brother. It's a scene that's, it's hard to watch because you can just feel John's anger and humiliation brewing.
It's like a betrayal on multiple levels, right? Not only is she financially involved with this man, but she's actively like erasing John's existence from the narrative. The video mentions that John, fueled by rage, decides to confront them both with blended pepper. It speaks to the intensity of his emotions, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. It's a primal reaction to a situation that feels completely out of his control. He's been stripped of his role as provider, his voice in the household, and now even his identity. It's important to note that we're not condoning violence, but the story uses this extreme reaction to highlight the depth of John's pain.
And just as John is about to unleash his revenge, there is this perfectly timed, almost comical interruption. The landlord shows up demanding the rent. It's a moment of dramatic irony that adds another layer to the already chaotic situation.
Yeah, it's brilliant storytelling. The landlord's arrival redirects John's anger, and in a fit of rage, he throws the pepper in the landlord's face. It's a scene that's both shocking and strangely satisfying because on some level, we understand the pent-up frustration that led to this outburst.
It's like he's lashing out at the person who represents the very problem that's been plaguing him, financial instability. But the story doesn't end there. In fact, things take an even more unexpected turn after the landlord, temporarily blinded by the pepper, leaves.
John finally confronts Miriam and her boyfriend, and what follows is a power play that completely flips the script. Remember how Miriam asserted that she was the man of the house? Well, John uses this to his advantage.
He lies and tells Miriam that he castrated the landlord's dog. It's a brilliant lie because it plays on the fear he saw in the boyfriend earlier, who was clearly intimidated by John's supposed dog castration skills.
It's a clever manipulation tactic. By creating this elaborate lie, John reclaims control of the situation. He uses fear to exploit the power dynamic that Miriam herself established. And it works. The boyfriend, terrified, transfers money to John and flees the house.
It's a scene straight out of a dark comedy. We see John laughing, relishing in the fact that he's now the one holding the financial reins. It's as though he's reclaiming the power that was so abruptly taken from him.
His revenge doesn't stop there. John, now emboldened, sets his sights on Miriam's source of income, her teaching job. He goes to her school, pretends she's ill, and submits a resignation letter on her behalf. It's a bold move, wouldn't you say?
It's almost like he's mirroring Miriam's behavior, taking control of her livelihood just as she took control of his. What's interesting is that we as viewers are both appalled by his actions and at the same time understand the motivations behind them. It speaks to the complexity of the situation, the blurred lines between victim and perpetrator.
And the story doesn't shy away from exploring the consequences of these actions. Miriam is, understandably, furious when she discovers she's lost her job. The confrontation that follows is explosive.
Things even turn physical, highlighting just how toxic their relationship has become. It's a far cry from the seemingly happy couple we saw at the beginning.
The trust is completely shattered, the respect has vanished, and it's all fueled by this constant power struggle. But just when you think things can't get any messier, another unexpected character arrives on the scene, Nia.
Nia is John's new girlfriend, and the way the video portrays her is striking. She's confident, self-assured, and completely unfazed by Miriam's anger.
Nia's arrival signifies a shift in the power dynamic once again. Her presence challenges Miriam's authority and highlights the fact that John has moved on, both emotionally and physically.
Yeah, their affectionate greeting further enrages Miriam. It's like a visual representation of John's newfound freedom and the life he's building without her.
And what follows is, well, it's an epic verbal showdown between Nia and Miriam. Nia doesn't hold back, calling out Miriam's behavior and reminding her that John came to her seeking refuge from the toxic environment Miriam created.
It's a powerful moment of truth for Miriam. She's confronted with the consequences of her actions and the reality of her situation. John also makes it clear to Miriam that he wasn't snatched away, but willingly chose to be with Nia.
It's a declaration of independence. John is finally taking control of his own life, choosing happiness over a relationship that's become detrimental to his well-being.
So, John and Nia, riding this wave of newfound freedom, decide to purchase a new home together. They're literally building a new life, leaving behind the negativity and drama that plagued their past.
It's a symbolic gesture, representing their fresh start and complete break from the toxic environment they were trapped in. And speaking of toxic environments, the landlord returns, but this time, he's not alone. He brings the police with him, and Miriam is arrested for the pepper attack.
Talk about karma coming full circle. Miriam's actions have finally caught up with her. She's lost her husband, her job, and now she's facing legal repercussions.
It's a moment of reckoning for Miriam. She's forced to confront the consequences of her choices and the pain she inflicted on others.
And to make matters worse, John refuses to bail her out. It's like he's washing his hands of the entire situation.
But just when you think the story is about to end on a note of bitter revenge, there's a surprising twist. Nia, displaying remarkable compassion, urges John to reconsider.
Even though she acknowledges all the negative gossip surrounding the situation and the pain Miriam caused, Nia prioritizes peace and understanding. It's a testament to her character, her ability to rise above the drama and see the bigger picture. What do you think this says about Nia?
I think it speaks volumes about her emotional maturity and her willingness to forgive, even in the face of adversity. She recognizes that holding on to anger and resentment will only prolong the cycle of negativity. Her actions demonstrate that she's genuinely interested in fostering peace and moving forward in a positive way.
Yeah, it's really admirable. John, clearly moved by Nia's plea, eventually agrees. He pays the rent, and Miriam is released.
It's a powerful act of forgiveness, even though their relationship is over. It shows that John is capable of empathy and understanding, despite the hurt and betrayal he endured.
And Miriam, humbled by the entire experience, offers a sincere apology to John. It's a moment of closure, if not reconciliation. She acknowledges her wrongdoing and seeks forgiveness, understanding that John may never fully forgive her. It's a powerful moment of self-awareness for Miriam. She recognizes the pain she's caused and takes responsibility for her actions. It doesn't excuse her behavior, but it adds a layer of complexity to her character. It's no longer a simple story of good versus bad. It's a reflection of the human capacity for both love and cruelty, for growth and regression.
It's also a reminder that even in the midst of conflict and betrayal, there's always a possibility for redemption, even if it's not always in the form of reconciliation. Miriam may have lost her husband and her job, but she gained something perhaps more valuable: self-awareness.
This story really packed an emotional punch. I mean, we went on a roller coaster of emotions, from anger and betrayal to forgiveness and, dare I say, even a glimmer of hope.
It's a testament to the power of storytelling, how a simple narrative can evoke such complex emotions and prompt us to examine our own values and beliefs.
What struck me most was how financial dependence played such a significant role in shaping the power dynamics of John and Miriam's relationship.
Absolutely. It underscores how societal expectations around gender roles and financial responsibility can create vulnerabilities within relationships. When those expectations are disrupted, as they were when John lost his job, it can lead to imbalances of power and, in some cases, even abuse.
It makes you think about how we as a society perceive masculinity and femininity. Is our worth tied to our ability to provide financially? How do those ingrained beliefs impact our relationships, our sense of self-worth, and even our ability to communicate effectively?
It raises a lot of important questions, questions that don't have easy answers. But I think it's crucial to have these conversations, to examine our own biases, and challenge the societal norms that contribute to these power imbalances.
I couldn't agree more. This story may be fictional, but the themes it explores are very real and relevant to many relationships. It reminds us that communication, empathy, and mutual respect are crucial for navigating the complexities of love, finances, and everything in between.
It also highlights the importance of recognizing red flags within relationships. The way Miriam treated John when he was vulnerable, the lack of empathy, the controlling behavior, these were all warning signs that shouldn't be ignored.
You're absolutely right, and I think it's equally important to remember that seeking help is not a sign of weakness. John could have reached out to friends, family, or a therapist to process his emotions and find healthy coping mechanisms for the challenges he was facing.
Yeah, it's about recognizing that you deserve support and that asking for help is often the strongest and most courageous thing you can do.
I think the most powerful takeaway from this deep dive is this reminder that sometimes letting go is the healthiest path forward, no matter how messy or painful it may seem. Both John and Miriam had to let go of their past, their shared history, and the expectations they had for their relationship in order to find individual happiness.
It's a reminder that growth and healing are possible, even in the aftermath of heartbreak and betrayal. It's about choosing yourself, your well-being, and the possibility of a brighter future.
So if there's one thing we want you to take away from this deep dive, it's this. Never be afraid to prioritize your own happiness and well-being. Whether it's addressing unhealthy power dynamics in a relationship, seeking support when you need it, or making the difficult decision to let go, remember that you are worthy of love, respect, and a fulfilling life.
And sometimes, the most empowering choice you can make is to walk away from anything that diminishes your worth.
That's a powerful thought to end on. Now we want to hear from you. What resonated most with you in this story? Share your thoughts on our social media. We'd love to hear your perspectives on the themes we explored today. Until next time, keep diving deep.